Hi everyone, the Mature Simmer here. So I've come across this new game. I've been giving it a go for a few hours, gotten the hang of it, kind of understand what's happening, and so I just wanted to get together a first explanation video of what this game is in case it might appeal to you. You can see the game is called Rail Route. The game itself appears to have been around for a little over a year. It is still in early access mode. I obtained it from Steam. It costs $20. What you're doing is you are a railroad dispatcher, and you've got various ways to interact with things. So at the base level, there's actually a new, what I would call an in-game tutorial that they've got, which they call the Story of Jovic. It takes place in Prague, and it walks you through how to play the game. I do have some footage of that because it has some voiceover and narrative. I'm not sure that it's going to make a really good episode of any kind, so I may upload something with it, I may not. There are 3 modes in playing this game at this point. From looking at some early videos of this game, this mode here, the rush hour maps, are something that occurred after the initial release of the game. What you have happen here is you are given more and more difficult traffic to deal with the goal of beating times and compared on a worldwide scoreboard with other players to see how you do. You can see under any scenario, you've got a difficulty, you've got the number of stations, and you can sort based on that. You can choose your rush hour maps, and you can see here, Prague Rush is not rated, but then you've got easy, moderate, challenging, all the way up to ludicrous. The next type, which is, think of this as the sandbox or open-ended, where you could play as long as you want, clearly tells you, it's endless. Same type of thing with difficulty and the number of stations that you have available. Now when you start, you don't get all those stations, which is also similar with these. Even though there's 4 stations, they're not all connected, they're not all operating. One that comes with the most things, and I've got a few items that I grabbed from the workshop, so these listed with Rail Route and also this one, Bridgeport, are not part of the game when you load it to begin with. So timetable maps, you could think of them as planned out scenarios that you would play through where the game is throwing trains at you and you need to route them accordingly. I've done a couple of these already to just give them a try, and basically you can think of it as short game scenarios that you're trying to work out. From the couple I've tried, the rail network is built out as you see. This isn't something you're doing anything to build with. You're really just managing the rail route. Based on the amount of time you have, you can take a look, and this is going to require 17 minutes. This one's going to require 48. This one's going to require an hour and a half, for example. Based on the amount of gameplay time you have, you'd pick your appropriate scenario, and then you'd operate it based on difficulty. And this also tells you the number of trains that are going to be run through the scenario. So you can see, we've got 8 on this one in Daytona. And then when you get up here in Ludicrous, 45 that run through in 49 minutes. So you're basically dealing with almost a train a minute. So you can think of it a little bit as a puzzle. You can always replay it, see if you can do better. So you can see I got 100% on both of these. This one, Wakefield, is also a bit of a tutorial when you play through it the first time. It actually comes up in the Story of Jovic, and they give you an opportunity to pop over here. I did not do that in the storyline, but then when I popped in here in Wakefield, the narration picked up. At the base level, that gives you the 3 different types of main gameplay. In addition, you're able to bring in additional maps, as mentioned. You can also create your own maps, which is what this editor button is for. I'm sure I'll look into that in the future at some point. Alright, so I'm going to pop in here, and I'm going to basically walk you through how to interact with the game at a basic level. That'll be the focus of this first video. I'm going to leave up the tips. We'll go through those, and it'll explain some of how the game functions. So it's up to you. Grow your railway empire from scratch. We're in the Berlin Endless map. We're going to build up traffic by accepting contracts. We've already accepted a few to provide you easier start. Contracts provide traffic. When you feel comfortable, buy new platforms and expand to new stations and accept contracts here. Decline contracts you don't want to run. It's part of the game. So the key thing to understand here is First off, the game will never show you more than 3 contracts. If you don't decline contracts, once your contract queue is full, you're not going to get additional ones. We're going to see a tip about that when that happens. So you want to decline things that you're never going to run. So up here at the interface, you've got a cycle report, which is available after the first complete cycle. I'm not clear yet what a cycle is, and the cycles may vary based on the type of map or the type of gameplay, but after a certain amount of time, we'll see this come up. So we'll take a look at that when it comes up. This is the money we have, so we start with 20,000, I'll say dollars since I'm in the US. Say, you think of it as whatever you want. It's the money in your wallet. And then here, basically, these are the way we gain experience. You've got green experience and red. Red is difficult and more challenging to gain. Green is really what drives things. So over here, you've got opportunities to build. So you can build track. You can also build things like tunnels and so forth, but these things all need to be unlocked. Control-wise, we've got manual signals available to us, and eventually auto signals and sensors and so forth. The next item is to buy. We can buy stations at this point, and that'll buy additional lines in the station or open up new stations if we'd like, so you can see their platforms. This is the system upgrades. So you can see we've got 4 types of upgrades available. We've got contracts, automation, controls, and interface. These are the points. It explains very clearly how to get points. Freights, 5 of these. One-time freight opens up the ability to get red. So this is how we suddenly get those. Automation, we can auto-accept and basically start to automate things. Obviously new controls that allow us to work on things. I have not gone through all of these, so some of these you're going to see me learn about as we go through. And then the interface buttons as well. And finally, this is the contracts window as we talked about. So we can see our active contracts. So we can see right now we've got 3 freight contracts, and we've got some commuter contracts, and they're going between the stations that we have, and we can see that we're going to get 2,000 as a reward, and we're going to get 1 experience icon, and this is every time a train comes through. So I'm going to zoom out as far as I can, and you can see this is the entire Berlin network. These are things that we can unlock and gain access to. These dashed lines, you can consider them walls that you can't go through. You can't run track through them. So when you pick a route, you've got to find a way to get to places, taking those into account. And this will all again become clearer as we play through this. So you can see we've got Gesundbrunnen, and I apologize if I'm butchering these names. I'm doing the best I can. Gesundbrunnen, Rulben, and Charlottenburg are our locations. These are the platform numbers, so we've got platform 2 and 3, and then a single platform in each of those. These will make more sense as we go, but this basically lets you see what is planned to happen with what you have available in each of your stations as you select them. So you can see here we've got 2 lines, we've got a lot of information. These arrows are trains that are arriving, these are ones that will be coming back or potentially passing through. So let's just jump in and we'll talk about the rest as we go. So this icon tells us there's a train that wants to come here. It's telling us it wants to be on Rulben platform 3. So we'll select platform 3, and you'll see the trains start to come in. It then wants to go to Charlottenburg 3. So what we need to do is create a route that goes there. So these are switches, and you'll change the switches and set them in the direction you need. Once you're set, and you've set the switches, you change your signal, and you can see the route becomes green. Now again, we've got manual signals at this point. So this is now going to be at the station for 1 minute and 15 seconds to load. We can also see we got a new contract here. So when you're selecting a contract, the first thing we can see, we've got stations that we have. So this is an inner city train, but it needs a speed of 134 kilometers per hour. If we go back to the build menu, you can see our tracks right now only go to 40. So there's no way that we're going to be able to get anywhere near that. So I'm going to decline this contract. So this is where it becomes important to know whether you want to continue or whether you want to decline. If I don't decline it, I can leave it there. But if I'm not going to do it at any point, again, once that fills up with 3 contracts, I'm unable to proceed after that with obtaining any new contracts. So we can also speed things up a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So now this train is going to move. And then you can see we just need it to come back to Ruleben, but we're going to come back to platform 2. So once it clears this, I can go ahead and flip that switch because that's what I'm going to need. Now we have another contract here. So this lets us do another commuter at 73. I'm going to just go ahead and decline these, and I'll likely be declining contracts for a while. So at the start of each game, you will be doing a lot of things manually. I mean, you're doing everything manually. You're dispatching, and you're also just kind of waiting to build up enough money to be able to do things. So this contract, now this shows us you need Berlin HBF. We do not have that platform. So it's telling us we need to buy at least 1 platform to accept it. So we have no choice but to decline, but that orange text gives you a clear indication that you have something you can't deal with. Once we get 3 contracts in there, we won't get any more. So I'll just let those go right now because I'm not looking to accept a new contract. So once the train arrives, you're going to see now it's at the station, waiting for a minute, but what we need to do is reverse it. We can either click this or we can right click. You can see the headlight changes. It shows us which way it's going. Now again, I know the direction, and now I signal that I'm clear to go through the path. In the beginning of playing the game at any level, you're doing a lot of things manually until we're able to purchase and apply upgrades. You'll be able to automate things later. So initially here, as you get started, because we're on an easy map, we are not going to see a lot of activity. So Ruleben has the most going on here. So you can see, you can hover over this of a legend. So the next train that's coming is passing through. Inbound first station is the ones that have these symbols. These others are then coming from some other location. So the blue is stopping at the station. And so we'll be leaving shortly. But when this gets to about 8:10, that other train will come. If you don't reverse, the train will continue going that way, and you could incur a penalty, if nothing else, because you haven't hit the appropriate time. So let's just see if something else has come up that we might be able to accept. At this point, that is not the case. I'll just leave them there. They're both commuter contracts like what we have. And so you can see in about a minute we'll be able to accept it. And if you click on things, it'll tell you what it's looking for, and it can be accepted a minute before the scheduled arrival. So it's going to be passing through at 8:11. And it's going to be coming in on platform 3, and it wants to go to Gesundbrunnen in platform 3. So to fix that, I need to change my switches. We're now going to accept that on platform 3. You can send it in another platform, but you will incur a penalty because it's not where it would like to route. So you can see this train would also like to go 80. It can only go 40. We're now going to signal through to Gesundbrunnen. At some point I'm going to get this right, maybe. So again, we'll let this go. This train's stopped for a little bit. Okay, so there you go. We've reached the limit of 3 contracts. New contract generation is halted. Do not hesitate to decline and pay attention to the requirements of the contract. So you can see now we've got another one. The target speed is too high. So I'm going to decline these just to see what else we get. There may be something we want to deal with. And again, if I go back here, you know, right now, basically every 10 minutes, we're going to have something happen. So we got paid $2,000 for the train, and we got paid, or 1 experience for that train coming through. When this leaves, we're going to get likely a similar payout. I think all our contracts were 2,000, so 2,001, and now we'll be waiting. So you can continue doing this, earning enough money, and at this point, if you're in a down period, you'll see this. There's no trains to dispatch. Here's what's upcoming. And then it's just reminding us, accept more contracts, and then that will build up the traffic, and it will give you more to do. So you can kind of play these endless scenarios at the pace you want. Again, they want 99. We're going to decline. This one's 80. This one's 77. So I'm going to hold on for a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to buy a platform here. So we bought platform 4, and then I am going to connect. And so the way you do that, I'm going to start here so you can see it clearer, but you can see those blue circles, I'll be able to, or squares, I'll be able to go anywhere from there. If I start here and then come here, that connects my line. If I want to give myself more options, I can click here and give myself a switch, for example. And I'm going to do this, where I, in essence, give myself the ability to switch from any platform. But obviously, building all that took a good amount of my money away. So these are the decisions you then have to start to make. But at this point, if I'm going to wait, because there's a little bit of a challenge. The moment you accept a contract, you're kind of setting your time to happen then. So we're going to get the other train. We're going to get to about 8:25 before we worry about it. So let's get the other train on its way here. All right, so we want this. We want to be on 3. Here it comes, and it wants to go to Charlottenburg 3. So we are all set here. Whoop, no, we're not. So you right-click to turn it off if you make an error. And there we go. That's the direction we want to go. And depending how quickly trains are coming, how you have things moving, it can get confusing pretty quickly. So we're at 8:21, 8:22. All right, and then we're heading through there. And so we'll get ourselves a little bit further along. And let's see. All right, so we're going to actually accept this one. And so now I'm going to pause this. So you've accepted your first recurrent contract. These expand traffic on your railroad network significantly, so pay attention to each one you accept. The first train is a trial train. Trial trains determine how much money you get per train based on how fast the trial was. You want to handle it as fast as possible to receive the best reward. It will record that in the timetable, and then the contract will spawn a new train every 60 minutes within the timetable. And you can optimize and reject the contract later. So what this means is, even though I've accepted the contract, I'm going to run a train here, and if I don't like the results, I have the ability to accept or decline again. So what you need to then determine is what you're going to do. We know this is going to be there's actually, I'm going to reject this because I didn't think of what I was selecting. This is going from Gesbruten to Charlottenburg to Ruhlben. I don't have the tracks in place. There's no penalty, so I'm going to reject this at this point. I'm going to go ahead and look at my contracts. What I want is, Oh, none of these are good, so I don't want any of these contracts, so never mind. Alright, well, I apologize for that confusion. I want a Ruhlben to Charlottenburg and back contract. So we'll see what comes along. Hopefully we'll have one soon, because at this point we're now kind of heading toward another window. So you can see I now made the error of forgetting to reverse this. I want to go back here. This is probably going to cause me some difficulty. So now I want to reverse. Now that it's stopped, we'll see if we get a penalty. We did not, but we may have some difficulty with blocking the train or not making it in time. Alright, so this train, this is our freight that wants to come through here. I can click on the platform, as you saw as well. So if I go back to my overview, if I click on this train, I need to be there between 8:31 and 8:32. I might still be okay. Whoops. So we need to turn that off and now do that, because otherwise if it slows down we will also get a penalty because it didn't do what we needed in the time that we needed. So you can see even on the simple scenarios this gets a little bit confusing at times. So we're starting to accumulate a little bit of money. Once this train comes in, we're actually going to have enough experience to perform an upgrade. So the next train is coming in here. This is our freight that wants to go through here. So it's a pass-through, so the goal when it says passing is we just want to get that signal green before it needs to slow down in any way. So we are 23 seconds away. So I'm going to pause. Let's see what contract we have. So here we go. Ruhlben to Charlottenburg, 67. We know we can only go 40. So we're going to accept this in the middle, but we'll take a look later once we're done here. And we'll pause again to take a look at our upgrades. So here we go. You have noticed green and red icons. These are experience points and are rewarded for non-delayed trains and can be used to unlock system upgrades. Look around and be sure to check the descriptions. There are many of them. Some of them are unlocking new types of contracts, new types of elements, and you can use them in your layout or even upgrades of your interface. To get this, you need to unlock one-off freights or intercities contracts. So if I continue here and now go to upgrades, so here we go. We've got intercity contracts or freights, as we talked about, to get reds. But what I'm going to do actually is auto accept trains. So what this means is I've had to manually accept trains until now. So you can see this upgrade unlocks a new configuration option in the station detail component, which is this, and it allows the station to direct new trains to their free corresponding platforms. And it does apply only to the trains with designated platforms. So I'm going to go ahead and upgrade, and this just kind of verifies that we want to do this. And now we've spent our system upgrade points. So what you'll see then is when the next train comes, which will be shortly once we accept the contract, and it won't do it for the contract train. Alright, so what I want to do now is go to the contracts, just make sure nothing is, so we got 67, 71, 78, Charlottenburg to Ruhlenburg. So I'm actually going to take this one, and so you can see it's coming into Ruhlenburg. I'm going to have it come in on platform 3 as well. And I'm going to have it go to platform 4. And so again, this is our trial train. And so what happens now is going to set the course of the route. So you can see we're now going to be heading out. And the benefit here of making this proceed in this direction is that this is going to be the fastest, straightest route. I'm not going through any signal changes at this point. I'm likely not going to be able, well, I should be able to actually bring it back to platform 3. So we'll see how this all plays out. But the goal is we want to be going 78, which we're not going to be able to do. So we're going to have another train coming soon, so I'm going to slow this down so I have time to think things through and explain what's happening. So it's going to stop here for a minute, and then it's going to stop for a minute on the other end. So there we go. I need to reverse so that I'm going back. And then we're going to go back to platform 3, which should work because trains should be clear by then. But if we make a mistake here, we're going to see what we see. We're going to have a challenge then. So now you can see okay, so I have to unlock that first because we had that train signaled and locked. So at this point now, we need to get this here, and we're going to run this through there. The problem we're going to have, however, so yeah, this is, we're actually going to want to do this and have them cross, because otherwise this train will wait and it will be a shorter route than we want. I need to fix this so that I'm going to the right location, because at this point you can see it says any, because in the trial train what I'm doing is I'm setting my route. So at this point, we're going here. This train will cross and go before, so there's no problem. And then if we come back here, you know, in 10 minutes, we're going to have another train. But we're going to see what happens in a moment when this train arrives and after it waits for a minute. Or a minute and a half, as it shows. Alright, so we've got 30 seconds. And then again, we'll probably pause once we get there. Alright, so what we have, we've successfully completed the contract. Because we needed to be going 78 and we got 38, we're only at 48% of the speed, but we're still getting 2,000. Which is what we were getting before, where we would have gotten less. Now it's important to then know if we're delayed, we're going to lose 300, and if we're on the wrong platform, we're going to lose 600. So this is where you get to then accept or decline the contract. If you don't like how things have worked out, you can decline it, and then if you think you can run it better in the future, you can run something else. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and accept that, and you can see now we've got trains that are going to appear every hour. Those trains will now be added to our schedule. So the other piece that has happened, you can see now we've got a cycle completed, and it may have happened in the first hour. So we have 12,000, we did 17,000 in construction, so we have a total of negative 5,500. But you can see how that works. We didn't have any penalties. We didn't do any bulldozing. And the nice thing is if you bulldoze and take tracks out, they all, they give you the full 100% back. So this will get us the 4th point. So I should have, if I look at my active contracts, let's see. There we go. So these are all the contracts we're working on at this point. So you can see how many trains we've gotten done. So you can see this auto accepted. So that upgrade we did, now he's just coming in on 3. This is our Ruhlenberg to Charlottenburg, or Ruhlenben to Charlottenburg. He's coming in, and he was auto accepted. Once he's done, we're going to be able to do another upgrade. And we now have another upgrade. All right, Ruhlben. Yeah, see, we're only going to get 1,000, so we're going to decline that. Now, if we go to upgrades, you can see we could auto reverse. That's now unlocked because we have this first one, but we need a red automation to be able to do that. So the other piece that we can do is you can do auto signals. So auto signals creates a route by setting every switch along a path to the next signal easily with just a click to select the signal and a second to select the destination. It prevents collisions. The route is not created when it's allocated. And it says this is a second upgrade for not a well-educated dispatcher. Saves a lot of time and enables you to handle an order of magnitude denser traffic. Don't trust the interface upgrades. The practicality is a lie. Okay. Maybe I don't understand if that's a joke, or who am I to argue with the people who made the game? So we're going to go ahead, we're going to do this upgrade and turn that off. Now I assume to make that work, I am going to have to change out signals. All right, so let's see. So if so I can do an auto signal for 10,000. And if I put it there, there we go. So it gave me 2,000 back for removing the manual signal and 8,000. So we're likely going to see that. The reason I decided to do that there is everything's coming in on 3. This will then automatically route things. And we'll see if we don't set the signal exactly how this works, because I am curious how that's going to play out. So at this point, again, we're waiting. Do I have any contracts? I do not. And none are showing up. At this point, it's almost too late, so I'm not going to do that. So we'll let it go. All right. So at this point, so now it's telling me, there we go. So if I click on this and my destination, it does the routing for me so that I don't have to worry, because I had that switch set up there, if you remember. So now you can start to see, all right, so the other train that we added is finally going to show up here. So now we have to reverse before we forget to do that. And then we have to change this and then manually route this. So then we'll get going. Let's see if anything else has come up. So Ruhlenberg, so this is everywhere again, kind of taking us all over. At some point we are going to get more complex. But you've got the idea in general here of what we need to be doing. And you can also see some of the complexity that comes with it. I'll get through these set of trains, but I think that's going to be enough to give you an understanding of what is happening. So now here, if I go here to here, see now it's set all my directions for that freight. So that is the benefit of the auto signaling. So what I can do is I can fill in a lot of those contracts. So again, if I pick this and now select this, and I know I need to go to 4, we're all set, and everything has been reset. To Brusselsstrasse. All right, so Brusselsstrasse is there. So that may be something that I'll take a look at. So let me clear this out. I need to reverse my train. And again, this one's going, whoops, I'm going the wrong way. I'm going to platform 2. So actually, I think I did it this way. That's probably the best way to do it. Because otherwise, I'm going to lock this train line and I won't be able to flip those switches when something else comes through. So now you can see we increased by 17%. So you can see our change, our operational change from 1 to 2. So we have the 2000 in bulldozing because of the change out of the switch. All right, so this one is the one that goes to platform 3. So it's going to, see now it's thinking it doesn't have a way to go, but it does. So that's interesting. So do I have to do this and then do that? Yeah, okay. So the good news is I did it fast enough that they should be able to proceed. So there we go. So that one's going. Those will go. They're crossing before they're conflicting with each other. And here we go. We've got those arriving. Everybody's at the station. This one's going to pay us out. There we go. But yes, it looks like every hour is our cycle. I need to reverse him. Again, he's heading back to Rublin 3. And so now we'll take a peek at this contract here, because I can go to Busselstrasse and Gesundbrunnen. So I need to buy a platform at Busselstrasse. So I'm going to buy this one because it's in line. And then I can go to the contracts, and now I can accept this once I build. Let me build the line first, because otherwise I'm going to have a train arriving immediately. So if I go here to here, I can do that. But if I now accept this, you'll see I now have this train coming in. We're potentially going to have a challenge with the freight, but hopefully not. So I'm going to have a little bit of a challenge because basically I stopped him at the signal. So he's going to get through there. Then we need to reverse him, and he's just going to come right back. And I should be okay. So once I'm through, I can then send him straight through. Because this is a pass-through, nothing's waiting. Oh, because it was an occupied segment, so we got a bit of a penalty there. Because he wasn't fully clear. We'll see what this all looks like when we get our contract acceptance. Okay, so we're getting about 47%, so I can accept that. At this point, I think you've got a pretty good idea of the basic way the game flows and how it's played. So you can see we've, expanded to another city, but even though this is an easy map, there's a lot of possibility here, which is why these are considered endless scenarios. They can go on however long you want them to go on and get as complex as you want. So I'm sure I'll be playing some of these in the future, showing you pieces. Definitely would love feedback from folks on what you'd like to see. So I hope you've enjoyed that little view, and definitely would like some feedback of what you'd like to see. This may be a more challenging sim to really provide some compelling videos on, because again, as you can see, there's a lot of time we're spent waiting. I can, I guess, do a lot of cuts and so forth. Other things like rush hour or timetable maps might be a little more active in watching, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to do a lot of talking. Anything more beyond easy or something might just get to be a bit too hectic to really do a whole lot. But I hope you enjoyed this initial view of Railroute. I'm certainly intrigued about, just seeing how engaged I get, what some of the caliber of player-created maps are, and so forth. I hope you enjoyed this introduction to Railroute, and I will see you next time.